Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. We start off today talking about the Nickmercs Call of Duty bonanza that took place the past few days. It has taken the gaming community and most of the internet by storm. Now obviously this has been a very highly requested story here on the channel. There is a lot that there is to cover, and it's sort of like a timeline that leads to one story to another, to a whole fucking nother story as it goes on, and then it just morphs into one big can of worms. So here I am, covering it, highly requested story. We're going to be talking about it today, here in this video. Nickmercs getting his bundle removed over a comment he made on a news event. Now, Nickmercs, love the dude. If you don't know who he is a Twitch streamer. I don't use Twitch anymore for a multitude of reasons, but that's a whole different video. But he's a streamer on Twitch. I hope he ditches Twitch for YouTube or Kick someday, because Twitch is just so awful. But he's a pretty big streamer, and I have been watching him for about 5 years. Always, and I mean always, loved his content and streams that he puts out. Entertaining dude, especially during the golden age of Fortnite back in 2018. He was one of the controller players on Twitch, one of the very few that I can think of, and he's also one of the best. So Nickmercs is a big streamer, pretty big guy on the platform, and he plays Call of Duty on his streams occasionally, including the new Modern Warfare, and he has this bundle, or rather, had this bundle that you could buy and rock in game, similar to like what Fortnite does, where they have icon skins. Ninja has his own skin, Cypher PK has his own skin, Ali A has his own skin, Laserbeam, Marshmallow, and a few others. Basically famous streamers and other celebrities and YouTubers. So skins and bundles of famous celebrities on certain games is pretty much nothing new, really. Call of Duty was also doing this as well, and Nickmercs had his bundle / pack for Call of Duty in Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2.0. Now, 2 links in the description, none of which are archived. One of them leads to a Liberal Hivemind video. Go sub to the guy while you're at it as well. He's very informative. Talking about the situation that took place in Glendale, California, which is connected to our main story. And the other link is to a Dexerto article talking about the actual main topic that we're going to be talking about here today. Now, what happened was there was a school board meeting that was being held and taking place in Glendale, which is a prominent suburb of Los Angeles, where the Dodger Stadium is located. It's where Universal is located. A lot of your favorite fucking movies were all filmed there at some point, so you may have seen it before, but don't know what it is. Anyway, there was a school board meeting being held at City Hall in Glendale, and what happened was there were protesters, mostly parents, who don't want their kids to be taught or shown certain things while they're at school. You know, they weren't just protesting things like CRT and things like that. They were mostly protesting against gender theory and alphabet stuff for the most part. That's essentially what this whole meeting was about. Now, the average American doesn't seem really concerned about the existence of gays and trans or anybody in the LGBTQ. And to be fair, I would argue that the average American is pretty much pro-LGBTQ and fully supports issues like gay marriage and whatnot. However, a sizable number of people don't want kids to be involved with human sexuality in the first place, especially on an elementary level. They don't want to have kids hanging out at drag shows with drag queens. They don't want to have drag queen story hour. They don't want to see kids dressing up as drag queens. They don't want them to have life-altering surgeries and other treatments. They don't want to see kids participating in this stuff whatsoever, because they're all way too young to actually fully understand what it really means, or to even, let alone, partake in this stuff. That's why these protests are going on. Now, if you were to suggest that, realistically, you would be called homophobic for it, even though there are some members of the LGBTQ who have actually understand the other point of view and don't want to see kids doing this. So later in the protest, what happened, there were a bunch of far-left Antifa members who decided to interfere and wreak havoc on the protests going on there. And to make matters worse, the Proud Boys decided to show up and they wreak havoc on the situation as well. You see where this is headed, right?
I want to go to breaking news right now in Glendale, where arrests have been made. This after a very contentious debate over pride instruction at schools there and a school meeting with the board tonight.
That yellow spiral object there that goes all the way across to the sidewalk, separating the two groups out here. This is all in regards to a school board meeting tonight for the a curriculum that's being voted on for the pride support. I can zoom in here and show you that the two opposition sides have been separated by that, and also by the law enforcement officials here on the scene here.
Believe me, Antifa and the Proud Boys are known to do this every fucking time a protest happens, regardless of what side it is. And this has been a serious issue in this country for almost a half a decade now. Every time a protest happens, the people peacefully protesting, they always end up getting eclipsed by either Antifa or Proud Boys fighting one another, leading to the fight between the two factions breaking out, them causing violence and non-stop chaos throughout the city. Everything is on fire, while the peaceful protesters end up getting cast off as violent. So while these protests, which devolved into riots, were going on in Glendale, the LAPD were literally forced to come out and try to disperse the crowds. As if the LAPD weren't already fucking debilitated by their woke mayor in the wake of 2020. So what's the goddamn use if they come out and they're not here to help anyway? But they try their best. They barricaded and separated the protesters, only reason being to prevent fights from breaking out between Antifa and the Proud Boys, at least protecting the actual protesters from harm's way, those being the parents who were actually protesting the school board, not wanting to have gender being taught to their children. Now again, Liberal Hive Mind has a video explaining the situation at best, so I'll link his video in the description down below, but people were shocked to see what was going on. You obviously had people on the left calling these parents fascists for not wanting their kids to have drag queen story hour, even though none of those parents protesting are responsible for the violence going on whatsoever and were just minding their own business. And people on the right said that the counter-protesters were causing most of the problems. Both sides pointing the finger at one another of who's responsible for the violence, even though the cringe-fringe agitators are the ones responsible for it. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter disgusted about what they saw happen in Glendale, including one streamer named Puckett who retweeted Brandon Murphy's tweet about the protests going on in Glendale and commented by saying, "This happened 4 blocks from my Overwatch League apartment. Americans are in a sad place now. Let people love who they love and live their own life." Now, I can somewhat agree with that. Americans really are in a sad place right now, knowing with all the recent events that have been going on and what we have been seeing. The whole West, unfortunately, is in this position. It's not exclusively the United States. It's Canada, it's the UK, it's Western Europe. We're seeing this throughout the West. Ideally, this is a Western cultural issue. And what just happened in Glendale kind of proved his wording right. And the whole let people live their own life part is pretty much exactly why those parents are protesting to begin with. We don't want whatever those kids are learning to be taught. We don't want kids to be shown this kind of stuff or to have it forced on them. Love who you love and live their own life without having something forced on you. This is a free country after all. After Puckett tweeted what he said and gave his 2 cents on the situation, Nickmercs then comes in and he responds to his tweet by saying, "They should leave the little children alone. That's the real issue." And Nickmercs hits the nail on the head with this tweet. He is absolutely right. I know I've said this numerous times in the past before, and I've mentioned this in a video already. Kids should not be going to drag shows or going to these types of events where people are twerking and pole dancing. I would like to question how in the world does that teach kids about LGBTQ issues? Absolutely not. Do you want to teach kids about LGBTQ representation and acceptance? Totally fine. Go show them the Owl House. There is literally no reason you should be showing kids graphic shit as a way to teach them about certain social issues. As a matter of fact, leave it to the parents themselves to teach kids to respect the LGBTQ. Unfortunately, I'm gonna get called anti-LGBTQ, and I'm homophobic, I hate gay people because I don't want kids to be doing or looking at certain stuff when I deeply care about both issues equally in actuality. Dude, I watch Hell of a Boss, and they have a lot of that dark, edgy shit, and a waterfall of gay stuff, and they're pretty much known for it. Newsflash, it's not for kids. Brandon Rogers is not for fucking kids. How many times has he dressed up like a woman in some of his skits that he does and writes? A lot of his videos are either demonetized or age restricted for a reason. When I see kids watching or doing this kind of stuff, I cringe. Point being, kids should not be watching, going, attending, or partaking in these issues, especially at a young age. Now, a lot of people seem to side with Nickmercs on what he said, and that being, leave the kids alone. That's all he said. Leave the kids alone. However, Activision Blizzard did not agree with what he said, and in response, they said, due to recent events, we have removed the Nickmercs operator bundle from the Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone stores. We are focused on celebrating Pride with our employees and our community. There you go. Nickmercs was called homophobic simply for saying, leave the kids alone. Now, if you think the reactions to what happened in Glendale were pretty bad, the reactions to Nickmercs responding to it was even worse. People were livid at what Activision Blizzard did, removing his bundle just for one small tweet and one small opinion that he had, which most reasonable people seem to agree with. They just decided to shit-can him. They just decided to say, oh, nope, Nickmercs is a homophobe. He says children should be protected. Let's remove his bundle, and let's continue to promote this stuff that this Glendale school board is trying to do in the name of diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know what else we can do? Let's replace his bundle with something else. Let's release a Dylan Mulvaney operator bundle while we're at it. This is such a terrible look for a company that has had scandal after scandal in recent years, including this year with what they've been doing, again, separate video, and also has been rated the worst studio/company in gaming. Let's go out and pull a Bud Light move and continue to support this. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not buying it. Nickmercs did nothing wrong. That's all I have to say. And thankfully, I'm not the only one saying this. Everybody else seems to be on the same page here. Dr. Disrespect, the two-time champion himself, live on his stream, uninstalled the game after Nick's bundle gets removed. FaZe Rain, big Call of Duty guy, he too came out and called out Activision Blizzard's move removing Nickmercs' bundle. Even Tim the Tap Man requested to Activision Blizzard themselves to have his own bundle removed after seeing what happened to Nickmercs' bundle. Virtually every single independent commentator that I have seen have all dogpiled Activision Blizzard for doing this to Nickmercs, all because he wants the kids to be protected. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Unfortunately, if you suggest that, you're homophobic. That's what Activision Blizzard is saying right here. And they think that the people, and I've seen a lot of people defending and even praising Activision Blizzard and calling Nickmercs a homophobe just for what he said. They think that the people who are all speaking out against this, you know, the people who are speaking out, people who are against kids and drag shows, who are against irreversible and untested and unproven life-changing treatments and procedures and being taught things that you're not supposed to be taught until you are in at least the 7th grade. Like back when I was a kid, I remember you had to bring back like a form of consent to learn about sex education, whether or not you approve or disapprove your kid learning in sex ed week. That's literally been the standard for at least a decade and a half. Who else remembers that? And here's the thing, you don't learn about sex ed until you're in middle school. That stuff was forbidden in elementary schools. Now they want every grade to learn about it regardless of what age you're in. I don't understand. People think that the kinds of people that are against the idea of having kids learning this stuff, that the average anti-CRT, anti-alphabet education, anti-woke people are nothing but a bunch of suspenders, toothless, trailer park dwelling, white trash hoodlums living in the middle of South Central Appalachia. That's not the case. It's not those Christian conservatives that are against this. It's not the uncultured redneck Appalachian Christian dudes that are against this. And it's not the old 70-year-old politicians that are against this. These are real people speaking out against this. There's nothing really wrong with people being gay or trans. There are people out there who are gay, lesbian, and trans who understand that kids should not be making these kinds of life-altering decisions which could affect them permanently. There are also some who are against kids having to be involved with this stuff as well. If people choose to be gay, fine. If people choose to adhere to their religion and want to be against it, fine. Stop trying to shove it down people's throats. What's even worse is that it's insinuating that Activision Blizzard is supporting this kind of stuff just by removing Nickmercs' bundle over what he said, and he still stands by for what he says. People are even comparing this to what Bud Light and Target went through this year. There are even calls of people trying to boycott Call of Duty, even though every attempt to boycott is never really successful. To me personally, boycotting Call of Duty is like saying, oh, I'm never gonna watch the NFL again every time they do something stupid, yet I still continue to watch the NFL and the Super Bowl every year. I mean, there's still a chance that they could be feeling the pinch just like Bud Light and Target. The only time I'm really, and I mean seriously, considering stopping playing Call of Duty is if a Dylan Mulvaney bundle comes out. At that point, that's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back for me and most people. Nickmercs did nothing wrong. He didn't deserve to get his bundle taken off. Yes, I may be a little bit biased because I am a FaZe fan, number 1. I am a Nickmercs fan, number 2. And I agree with what he says about leaving the kids alone, number 3. And even if you don't agree with this guy's opinion, you still need to think that it's wrong that he got his bundle taken away from him. You can't take somebody's bundle away from him just because they said one sentence. It's just like when PewDiePie got his YouTube Red show taken from him because the Washington Post made a stink piece on him after making a video where he pays people $5 to say and do stupid shit. Nickmercs is not a bad person for saying, leave the kids alone. And I think he's right. Even some LGBTQ activists don't like the direction things are going. A transgender activist by the name of Erica Anderson even admits it. I think it's gone too far. And don't take this the wrong way as me being homophobic. And certainly don't take this the wrong way that I'm betraying my own religion either, or that I'm anti-Christian. I support adults who are LGBTQ, just like I support some people who adhere to their religion and choose not to partake in this stuff. This is a free country. Be who you are, practice what you want, and be proud. I do not support teachers forcing alphabet on and to elementary kids. I do not support kids at drag shows. And kids do not need to be making those decisions at such a young age. Even liberals like Bill Maher seem to agree with that sentiment. And I'll even link his video as well down below showing you what he says and thinks about this. If you want to show kids the importance of LGBTQ, there is no better show that directly and indirectly does that better than The Owl House. The two main characters of the show are lesbians, and it is arguably considered the greatest, best, and most iconic charactership in entertainment history. It conveys a message well, it shows representation well without being woke, and it teaches kids acceptance that it's okay to be or think a certain way without attempting to be woke or being over the top about it or shoving it down your throat nonstop. I think it's perfectly acceptable to show any of that. However, all of this stuff, drag story hour, having kids perform life-altering decisions that could affect them permanently and is irreversible, I'm sorry, that's not a good idea. That's the point Nickmercs is trying to make. And the fact that he gets his bundle removed just because he says one sentence, that's an even worse look. And thankfully, there are some people that seem to understand. Hopefully we're all on the same page here. Nickmercs doesn't deserve to have his bundle taken from him, and let's just let the kids be kids. That's all I have to say here, so With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to hit that like button down below, and if you're new around here, be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the little notification bell. Be sure to follow me on all my social medias, links are in the description below. That includes all the new tech sites that are included in there as well. Share this video around with all your friends, families, boyfriends, girlfriends, enemy, whomever. Definitely helps me out a lot, helps the video grow, and helps grow the channel if you share this video around with whoever you know. As always, I end the conversation down to you, so leave all your thoughts down below in the comments of what I can improve on, and whether you agree or disagree with me, or have a different point of view, or a different thought, or a similar thought. Always open to have a conversation as long as we are civil. So, feel free to leave all your thoughts in the comments down below. And of course, don't forget to join a Discord server. That will be in the link in the description down below, as well as even in a pinned comment. This is where you get to talk to me, chit-chat to me, hang out, play video games with me, or send me some news tips and video ideas on what to cover next. DMs are open there, so feel free to suggest any ideas or any future video ideas you want me to cover next in a potential future video. So don't forget to join me there. Links in the description below. But anyways, guys, like, subscribe, ring the noties, and until then, take care, talk soon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.